Welcome to PrepsNet Coach Speak with Mortimer Jordan, head basketball coach Jason Johnsey. Here's your host, Aubrey Johnson.
Welcome back, Coach.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Well, it's been a long 2 weeks since we last talked, and you've played a lot of basketball since then. So let's get to it and talk about some of these games.
All right.
First one was all the way back on November 21st. You played Tuscaloosa County. You lost by 1 point in overtime. I know that's got to just hurt. Tell us about that night.
Well, we played really well. You know, Tuscaloosa County, big 7A school. They bring in a lot of talented kids. And,
right.
He agreed to come in here. We played an in-school game. The place was packed. You got kids going crazy. You got the pep band in here too.
Good
and so
deal.
it was a great environment for high school basketball. So played well. We're battled back. Back and forth. It was a really, really well played game on both ends.
Right.
Got into overtime, had the lead, and then County's got the ball coming towards the end of it, and we do a great job of changing a shot at the goal right before the horn goes off. But it was such a tough shot that it didn't even hit the rim, hit the backboard, and it landed in one of their kids' hands, and he put it back up at the buzzer. So just a little unlucky off of that. But everything, win or lose, you've got learning moments, and that was one of you play all the way through the horn and make sure that you block out on every shot and don't ball watch and all that. And,
right.
It was one that we thought we should have won, but it really galvanized the team. The team understands. That there's no letdown at any point in the game, that you've got to play all the way through it off of it. So good experience for the kids, and it was a fun time as far as having so much energy in the gym too. And our kids got better that night, which was important.
Okay. So after that, you played in the Discover Shelby Thanksgiving tournament at Thompson High School. Your first game was against Childersburg. You lost by 2 points. Tell us about that game.
Well, same thing. Back and forth and back and forth. There's a theme to a lot of these games early in the season where they're really close, and then we ended up just on the wrong side of that one as well. 2 point game. Had a shot to win it at the end. Got a great look at it. It just didn't go, and that's all you can really ask for is to get the shot that you wanted, which we did at the horn, and try to win the ball game. So we hard fought game, and Childersburg shot it really well inside the three. They were great at shooting mid-range jumpers and pull-ups and all that, and we saw that on film and knew it was coming. But it's tough. Kids elevate and shoot over you, and you got a hand in their face, and they're still. What are you still wearing it out? That's right.
Gotcha. So the second round of that game, you played Chelsea. You lost again by 2 points. Tell us just a little bit about it.
Well, that same refrain.
Same thing.
Yep. Back and forth, and Coach Bumbaugh does a great job with his kids, and they're battling just like we are every single day, trying to eke out every single win. And we've got same situation. We're trying to score at the end, and it's tough. Winning's hard. If it was easy, then everybody would be 30-0 going into the playoffs, but it's not. And so again, our kids disappointed in the loss, and all of us are. But the process is we're trying to get better with every single game. We're trying to use every game as practice to be better and ready for January whenever we get to the area.
Sure, absolutely. So you get to the third round, and by now you're ready to take your frustration out on somebody. And poor old Wilcox Central,
yes, sir.
You beat them by 31 points. So that must have been quite the turnaround.
Yes, sir. We came out super hot. Defensively we played really well. First quarter was probably, I think it was 22-4 after one. So defensively we were great. We shot it really well coming out too. We took great shots. Played for one another, spread the ball around, and just did a great job. And we were able to kind of play from in front and well in front for most of the game, which was different. We haven't been able to do that up to that point in the year.
Yeah, well, that had to feel really good.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah.
It certainly did.
So then on December 3rd, you had a game against Decatur Heritage. You lost by 4 points. Give us a smidgen of that night.
Well, back and forth again.
Yep.
We'll lead after one quarter. They'll leave after the next. It'll go back and forth. And again, it comes down to the very end, and the last couple minutes or so they kind of pulled away, and we got it within 4, and trying to scratch and claw everything that we can to to get as much as you can out of a game and put your kids in a position to win. They've got a really good team. Probably one of the favorites in 2A. He's got some size for a 2A school. He's got some skilled players that can really handle the ball. He's got guys that can shoot it, and they defend really well too. So that's a really good basketball team that we played up there.
For sure. So that frustration probably fueled you again. You played last Friday against Gardendale and beat them by 12. I mean, that was a great game. Tell us about it.
Well, our kids don't need any motivation to play Gardendale. That's a big rival.
That's a rivalry.
So, I knew they'd be keyed up, but you just kind of have to temper that a little bit and tamp it down and say, all right, now, as emotional as you feel inside, don't let that come out on the court.
Right.
And we came out, shot it really well again to start. Built a big lead. I think going into the third quarter, we were up 22 or 23 or so.
Nice.
And of course, Gardendale's full of guys that battle too, so they come roaring back and cut it to maybe 9 at one point or 10.
Right.
And then the final margin ended up 12. So that was a fantastic game. Again, a great basketball environment. They brought a lot of people here, and we've got it full on our side and spill over onto their side too. So we've had a good run over the last couple of weeks of fans in the stands and helping influence the ball game.
Who played well during that game?
Oh boy, over the last handful of games, Tanner Chandler has really picked it up. Seth Watkins has been just shooting the lights out of it from 3.
Nice.
Defensively, we've committed to Garden for the most part a little bit better than we did early in the year.
Right.
And boy, as a team, we are rebounding the mess out of the ball.
That's awesome.
Offensive rebounds is really what we preach to kids to go get it every time it goes up.
Right.
That ball.
It's another shot.
That's it.
It's another opportunity.
Shot goes up, then we say, treat it as a pass. That's your ball to go get. Someone's throwing that ball to you, you go get it.
Right.
And so we kind of pride ourselves every game, even though the record's not where we want it to be. But if you look at the stats, I think in every game that we played this year, the 11 that we played, we've out-rebounded everybody on the offensive end every game, and maybe on the defensive end, there's one team that got us. And so that's one thing that travels. If you go get the ball on the offensive, defensive ends, you'll get extra shots, and you'll keep them from getting extra shots, and that's where you can make up margins. Maybe you're a little short.
Exactly. So then on Monday, you played the Corner Yellow Jackets. You beat them by 8. Tell us a little bit about that one.
Yeah, similar situation. Gym's full of people. Get off to a pretty good start, shooting the ball. Don't play as well defensively as we wanted to in the first quarter. We end up tied and giving up more points than we wanted to. And then that's a back and forth thing, and it's probably, 6 or 8 at the half. Build it up a little bit, and then it ends where it does. And again, that's another game too. You don't really have to get after the kids, and you don't have to have a real fire and brimstone speech at the beginning of in the locker room to get them fired up. They, all these kids live around each other. They know each other. They play ball together since they've been very, very little. So
I was going to say it's not a crosstown rivalry; it's a close town rivalry because both of those are so close.
Yeah, and then same thing. We've got guys knocking down threes. We've got guys driving and drawing 2 people and throwing to the open guy and then driving it back again. And Jordan Henschel's his production offensively has picked up over the last handful of games. He's been rebounding the ball really well, and Tanner is what Tanner is. He's a 22, 23 a night scorer, and then he's a 7 to 13 rebound a night guy too.
That's awesome.
And so you sprinkle in other kids who can drop 16 or 18 with him, whether it's Jordan, whether it's Seth, whether it's any of our other guards. Colin and Logan can really shoot the ball. RJ Hopper coming off the bench plays every position for us. He's kind of like a Swiss Army knife. He can do everything for us. He'll have a game where he'll influence the game, not necessarily with double-digit points, although he'll drop 12 on you in a hurry. But he'll have 6 rebounds from the guard spot. He'll have 4 steals. He'll have 3 assists too.
Right.
So
fantastic.
It takes all of us.
Yes, absolutely. So one more game to talk about. Last Tuesday, or actually that was yesterday, you played Hayden, lost to them by 12. What happened?
Yeah, didn't defend. Okay. Not at all. I mean, and what we've talked about as a team, and we talked about it today in film too, is that we will score enough points in every single game to win. It comes down to stops.
Yep.
Do you have the pride? Do you have the ability to get in front of somebody and keep them from going around you?
Right.
Do you have the the wherewithal and the want to help guard the basketball even though your man doesn't have it? Look
Right.
for a reason to go help your buddy guard the basketball. And so we failed at that last night pretty big. Giving up as many points as we did, scored plenty to win. Probably
Right.
scored 10 or 12 more than we typically need to win.
Right.
But if you give up a lot more, then you're in trouble. So, but there's bright spots in every game.
Yes.
Obviously, there weren't many spots where we got better last night, but one of them was I don't know what the school record is for offensive rebounds, but we grabbed 26 of them last night.
Wow.
So got a lot of extra shots at the rim.
Good.
Scored points, but again, it comes down to making sure we can keep people out of the lane and not let them have easy shots.
Gotcha. So, lot of games there, Coach. A lot of learning too. You won some, you lost some. But you got some more coming up, though. You've got a bunch coming up. So we're going to talk about the future games here in just a second after this message.
PrepsNet Coach Speak with Mortimer Jordan High School head basketball coach Jason Johnsey is proudly sponsored by Campus Traditions. Go Blue Devils!
And we're back. Coach, we got a whole mess of games to talk about coming up, too. We've got tomorrow night you are playing at Moody, the other Blue Devils. What do you expect to see from them?
They just played in the state championship game. You guys were protected
football,
for that.
Sure.
So their football kids are back. Had a couple of practices. They played last evening, same as we did. So it's a process. We run through the same thing whenever we got football kids back. It takes a minute to integrate them into what you're doing.
Sure.
Luckily, Coach Bates has been there for a little while, and kids know what to expect, and they're doing the same stuff that they did during the summer.
Right.
So if you've ever played Moody, you know that it's tough. Those kids are tough kids, and they're coached tough, and they play hard just like anybody else does. So we're expecting a battle tomorrow night.
Okay, good deal. Then on Saturday, you play in the Randy Jones Classic at West Point High School. Tell us about this tournament a little bit.
Well, yeah, it's a classic to where each team comes in and plays a game, and Coach Vose put this together last year for the first year. Coach Mason Vose up at West Point,
right?
For Coach Jones, and it's a good time to play people you normally wouldn't play.
Yeah.
It's a good time to see buddies who are up there playing as well, and see some other teams that in person that you might play later in the year. So there'll be some common opponents up there that we'll see in addition to the game that we'll play. And Addison's got a new coach. Tristan Chambers is there, and he's I know him from my time at Coleman, getting to spend some time with him there when he was helping us as well. And so he'll have those kids fired up and ready to play.
Well, good. So the first round and only round that you'll play in the tournament is against Addison. Tell us what you think you'll see from the Bulldogs.
Well, they haven't played a ton of games so far. Typically a program that goes into football playoffs and all that, and a new system. Coach Chambers is new there, so he'll do a great job. He just needs time to get these kids to learn the system and all that. And they're a program that I feel like is going to be on the rise in their classification. So, again, if they play like their coach plays, then they'll be hard nosed and ready to go after anybody. So that's what we expect. Okay,
good deal. Next Monday, after this, you get a day off, and then Monday you travel to Pelham, and you're going to play the Panthers. How do you game plan against them?
Well, we'll spend Sunday getting ready for them, because this time of year is tough, because you're in tournaments normally, so you're playing in 3 days straight, or 3 out of 4 days, depending on how the tournament runs. And then you've got regular season games, and a lot of times these teams who have been in football playoffs are having to reschedule games, and you end up with 4 games in 5 days, or something like 7 games in 10 or something like that with tournaments and everything. So not ideal, what we have coming over these last couple weeks and into Christmas as far as games and everything goes. And so you have to mix in some recovery days, you have to mix in some kind of film days and all that, and get your lifting in and keep the kids fresh, just because you don't want them burning out early in the year with so many games and then hard practices and out there on the floor for 2.5 hours and lifting and film and on top of that. So Pelham's been good for a while. Coach Dickinson's been there, maybe 5 years or so. 4 or 5 years there at Pelham. He does a great job with them. And more of the same from them. So they were a regional team last year, and expect them to compete in their area in Class 6A down there in the Central region, and just a lot of respect for what he's done there over his time frame. He's constantly winning 18, 20, 22 games a year with that program. So he does a great job, and we'll have to be ready.
Right. Good deal.
On short notice too.
Short notice. Turnaround. Yeah. So you're going to be going Saturday, Monday, and then again Tuesday. You play West Point. Luckily, they come here though, so you get to play a home game. Tell us what you expect to see from them.
Well, Coach Vos is a friend of mine, and he we played in the Coach Jones Classic down there. And then he agreed to come here, and we'll return the favor next year, go into his place. And our last home game before the kids all get out for Christmas break, it'll be our last home game for a little while until we get kind of well into January, middle of January or so. So we'll be hitting the road, early and often between now and January 12th, 14th or so, whenever the next home game is after that. He's got them in really good shape. I think they're 8-2 at this point. They've really distanced themselves from the competition that they've been playing, play really hard. He does a great job with them too, and he's probably 3 or 4 years now. I think it's maybe his 4th year there at West Point. But back to back, and then a Sunday before that, and then we're playing on Saturday, and you get a Friday. If we're going backwards from there, Friday practice and Thursday game tomorrow, and we had a kind of a recovery day today, and we played yesterday. So the kids, it's a really a test to their kind of mental focus and ability to kind of redirect energy and conserve energy and kind of treat this like it's super important. That I don't know if this is typical for a type of schedule that I've played here, this being my first year. But it's great for whenever you get into area season and you've got back-to-back games of a non-area and an area opponent, or vice versa, and then even when you get into playoffs in the short time frame between one game and the next. So it's good for us as a coaching staff, because we're going through that process itself on how to plan. You got somebody kind of pre-scouting the next couple teams, so we can hit the ground running as soon as that game's over, and we're talking about the next crew on the bus ride home.
And you can't afford to lose focus, can you?
That's it.
Because you're just going from one right next to the
So you can't celebrate too long on a win. You certainly can't dwell on a loss. We'll talk about what we need to do better off of them, but you flush it and you move on, whether it's a win or a loss.
Absolutely, you have to. Well, Coach, that's our show. We appreciate your time, and we certainly appreciate yours. Watch us each and every week for another version of Coach Speak.